Welcome back to Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of the 25th anniversary of The Mummy, we're looking back at George of the Jungle because we already did The Mummy when The Whale came out, and I only remembered that halfway into writing this script. George of the Jungle is a 1997 comedy film based on a 1967 animated series of the same name, starring Rick O'Connell from The Mummy, Paul Rudd's wife in This Is 40, Sandman from Spider-Man 3, Shaft, the mom from 2.5 Men, and the voice of Monty Python. The story starts with San Francisco heiress, because that's a thing, Ursula and her tour guides traveling through Africa when she learns about the legend of the White Ape. She runs into her dick of a fiancé who has hired two poachers to track her down and return his property, her, to America. She refuses to leave until she sees this white ape and convinces the fiancé to go look for it with her when they get attacked by a lion. He runs away like a little bitch, leaving Ursula to die by a lion when she's rescued by George and taken away to his treehouse, where he was raised by a talking gorilla named Ape, his dog Elephant, and a gossipy toucan. George falls in love with Ursula because who wouldn't fall in love with Judd Apatow's wife, and she also finds George attractive and doesn't want to leave until her douche of a fiancé shows up with his poachers and forcefully takes her back, but not before the poachers learn that Ape can talk and the fiancé shoots George. The fiancé gets arrested, the poachers deported, and Ursula takes George of the Jungle back to San Francisco to treat his gunshot wound because there's no good hospitals on the nearly 24-hour airplane trip, including layovers, to get from Burundi to San Francisco. While Ursula's at work, George trapezes through the city and saves a paraglider stuck in the Bay Bridge. That's the one from San Francisco to Oakland for you non-Baydestrians. Ursula tells her parents about what went down in Africa and that she wants to break off her engagement because she wants to bang the wild man, but her mother objects and even takes George aside to tell him to back off. Back in Africa, the poachers find their way back to the treehouse and capture Ape, who sends the toucan to fly nearly halfway across the planet to inform George of what happened. George immediately sets out to return to save his friend, and Ursula realizes she loves him and tries to follow. George confronts the poachers with the help of Ursula and his animal friends, rescues Ape, but of course the ex-fiancé shows up with some mercenaries after losing his mind in jail and joining a cult, and now wants to forcefully marry Ursula. George gets captured and she gets dragged to a boat to get married. George escapes and swings and runs into a tree, but then saves her before the marriage and going over a waterfall. The fiancé ends up married to a gorilla, and George and Ursula later get married and give birth to George Jr. so they can have a direct-to-video sequel in 5 years. And that's George of the Jungle in the Namely 90s Minute. More or less. Join us again next Tuesday for another Namely 90s Minute. Remember, you can always hear these a day early in full episodes of Namely 90s on all major podcasting platforms. And most of the small ones, too. Please subscribe and do all the other YouTube things. Bell ringing, share like a scribes, that sort of stuff. And we'll catch you next time.